In this presentation, we will see about Database Administrator, simply referred as DBA. In the last presentation, we have seen 4 different types of users. The first one, the naive users. The second one, application programmers. The third one, sophisticated users. And the last one, specialized users. And we have learnt about all these users in the previous presentation. In this presentation, we are going to exclusively focus on the undeniable user as far as database systems are concerned, the database administrator. Let's see the basics about the database administrator. Any organization that uses database will certainly have a database administrator, because the database administrator, he or she is the one who has the complete control over the database. It means the database administrator has the central control over the data and the set of programs those access those data. So without database administrator, it's practically not possible to gain access over the database management system. And as mentioned, this database administrator has the central control over such system. And when we say that this database administrator has the central control over the database system, then obviously the key role will be having the complete privilege. So he is the one who decides everything with respect to the databases. Now let's see the various functions of database administrator. The primary function of database administrator is he is the one who defines the schema. I mean the schema definition. What do we mean by this? When we have a database, we know this database is a collection of interrelated data in the form of tables. Say for example in SQL, if we want to create a table, we have DDL commands, right? Who is going to execute this DDL? Who is going to define the structure of the database, the overall design of the database, the schema definition, the tables and the columns? It's the database administrator, obviously. He is the one who is authorized to use data definition language DDL. And when he creates a table, when he manages the table, obviously he is the one who decides the storage structure and the access method definition. Because databases needs to be stored in the physical medium. So database administrator will have the complete control over the storage structure and also the access method, how the data can be accessed, which mode of access is permitted and which mode of access is not permitted. And coming to the third function of database administrator, he is the one who can do modifications in the schema as well as the physical organization modification. If you are directly watching this lecture without knowing the basics of schema and instances, I request you to watch my previous lecture titled Instances and Schema so that you will gain better understanding about schemas and instances. So when we talk about schema, it's the overall design of the database. So when any modification is required on the schema, then database administrator only can do that. And also if there are any physical organization modification, it means the organization of data in the storage level, and that is also done by the database administrator. And coming to the fourth function of the database administrator, he is the one who is involved in granting of authorization for data access. Let's take banking as an example. We know very well in database management system, the database is the central unit that stores all the data in the form of tables. And we have a collection of tables which we describe as a database. When we have a database, all the users, whoever wants to access the data, they will be getting the data only from the database. It's not the data that is distributed across every user's machine. Because database is a central unit. All data are stored in one place. And the complete database is actually maintained by the database administrator. Now, database administrator is the one who grants privileges and grants authorization for data access to the users. He is the one who decides what all the data that a teller can access, what all the data a clerk can access, what data a manager can access, and what data an end user can access. In simple terms, authorization means who can access what, and this is decided by the database administrator. And coming to the next privilege, he is the one who should involve in the routine maintenance activities. What are all the routine maintenance activities that a database administrator should focus on? The first one is the periodic backup. Taking backup of the database is very important. We know any system is subject to failure. It may be a hardware system or it may be a software system. A database software may also crash, and we know the databases are installed on the physical medium, maybe a hard disk or an SSD or even a storage server. After all, they are physical devices which may undergo failure at any point of time. What if the physical medium or the storage device encountered failure? Obviously, the data present in the database will not be accessible. So when we have a backup, obviously we can restore the data. Let's assume there is a data center and all the data are stored in that data center. And there are no problems with the hardware, there are no problems with the software. With respect to the hardware and software, everything is fine. Who knows, the data center could be affected due to natural calamities. The data center could be affected by floods or earthquakes. In that case, taking a backup and storing it in a remote location is always essential. And this is one of the jobs of the database administrator, to take periodic backups, not only for the sake of retrieving the data due to hardware or software failures, even due to natural disasters. And coming to the next routine activity, he is the one who should always check the disk space. Why the database administrator should indulge in disk space management? Let's assume at this instant the database is containing the records of 1000 users. And if the company started advertising their product, if new customers are added, in one day, thousands and thousands of customers can become a new customer for our organization. And we know databases are obviously stored in the physical medium, the physical devices. It may be a hard disk or any storage device or even a storage server. And what happens if new customer information are added to the database? Obviously, it increases the storage size, isn't it? He's the one who should periodically check whether proper disk space is available for all the data. And coming to the last routine activity, he should also focus on the performance. Just imagine we are going to an ATM machine to withdraw the money. After inserting the card, after giving all the information, if the system takes so much of time to respond or to retrieve the data from the database and present it to us, obviously it's not good, right? So databases must respond to the queries as quick as possible. And also these databases are stored in the hardware, and periodically the database administrator to check the performance of the database so that he can ensure all is well from his side. And users are also getting the data access without delays. So far we have seen what is the role of database administrator and the various functions of database administrator. I'll see you in the next presentation, and thank you for watching.